like that how Pokemon has become. So he just said, go on my Switch and buy Shining Pearl for me. And I told him, listen, dude, Shining Pearl is a shit game compared to these.
To the
and
original.
I told him there's a bunch of glitches in the game, and he's like, I don't care, buy it.
He's gonna regret that decision real fucking quick.
He's gonna regret it real fucking quick. And then he'll be like, oh no.
But Zalair, I'm still gonna fucking play that game anyways, because why the fuck not?
Hey, Zalair. So back to my telephone story. So the second one, and then I'll tell you about another thing. So the second one, I was asleep. I had my phone next to me, because I had stayed up the previous night looking up, fuck it. I was looking up porn. And I wake up to my phone ringing. And he's like, the guy's like, was talking about his whole bull crap about something. I can't remember. But I'm like, I can't remember what I said, but my brother wakes me up and tells me everything. And so I'm like, what the fuck?
Don't I 40 grains?
I was like, it was something along the lines of like, is it important? He's like, I'm like, is it life-threatening? Well, no, but I'm like, I'm like, let me fucking sleep. I'm like, actually, I don't think that's what I said. So, I think what I said was, I'm not interested. Don't call me again, or I'm calling the police. And I don't give a fuck, and I just hanged up. Whoever it was probably was like, and then I went back to sleep, and I remember my brother kind of woke up to that, or he was already awake, and he was like, and I wake up like not even 2 hours later, and he's like, you remember what the phone call, right? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he told me, and I'm like, huh. I kind of remember something like that. He's like, oh my god, Joe. So the other thing, I used to go to this, sometimes I go to this bookstore with my mom and sister. Oh my god, don't even get me started on their fucking books. I have no problem with books.
Holy shit.
But oh my fucking god.
They have way too many fucking
They have way too many fucking physical books.
Oh my god, me, Dad, and fucking Veronica.
I thought some YouTubers were bad. No. Like, the amount of physical books my mother has and my sister have combined, they can make a small fucking library. And I used to go to the bookstore with used bookstore. And the funny thing was, you remember the anime, it's basically, the dub name of it is called I Got Reincarnated into a jobless class.
That sounds familiar.
It's an isekai with this like guy that's a kid and he has a jobless class and he teaches like this rich girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually I bought the yeah.
I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you saying?
So I found the first issue, man, mind you, or it might have been the second. No, it was the first issue, and this is when I first got my grasp on manga. I wasn't really I was into comic books, but I was just getting into anime, and I'm like, I was looking through the manga, and I'm like, I also bought an Inuyasha one, but I don't know where that one went, but I bought that one. I read it, and I'm like, damn, this is fucking pervy as shit.
You just suddenly stopped.
Oh, sorry.
Ah, yes.
I cannot hear you, my dude.
Sorry, I'll move closer.
Joe's on his bed, he's far away.
Yeah. So, I got the...
Oh, yeah, big red bar. That explains it.
Yeah, I got the manga, and I'm reading it, I'm like, this is pretty good. Like, not even a couple years later. I think it might have been like 5 or 6 years later. Because I got it in 2017 or something like that. And then when they finally made it the anime in, like, I think 2019, 2020, I was like, holy shit, bro. He's like, what? I'm like, I have this manga. And he's like, no, you fucking don't. I showed him.
Oh, it's about Rudius?
Yeah. And you were like, holy shit, you do? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we saw the first fucking volume. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And then Rudius' anime came out. I was like, what the
And
fuck?
then we were like, what?
Like, this is a real thing?
Yeah, I was telling my brother about it, but, like, vaguely, and he didn't understand. But when I showed him the video, he's like, oh, we own that one? I'm like, yeah, I do. I bought it.
Come here, girl. Come here, girl.
I actually have another interesting story to tell you about at the used bookstore.
Come here. Come here, girl. Sit in mommy's lap.
Zalia's being a mom right now to her puppy.
Aww. Stop scratching my leg, you fucking imbecile.
Yep, that's pretty much how my parenting goes with my animal.
I want to get down, Mom.
I'm like nice to them one minute, when they do something that pisses me off, I completely turn the other way. That's how my dad deals with his parenting. Not really great.
Yeah, well, our dad's a fucking asshole.
He's
He does whatever he does.
an ass. I mean, he is an asshole, but he's not like terrible. I think it was just because the way he was raised and how Grandpa fucking treated him. But
Yeah, we have no idea what Grandpa did, but
I remember he vaguely told me bits and pieces when he gets pissed off. I actually almost asked him what Grandpa was like when he was high, and a couple times when he was drunk, really drunk.
Right.
And the one time he was really high, he ended up having to go to the hospital, so I never got to fucking ask him. And the one time I told me when he was like really fucking giggly drunk, he's like, that fuck. He was like, oh yeah, him? Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, okay. I do remember one time at my old house, he was talking about somebody, he was really pissed off, and he was talking to my mother. I'm like, what is he talking about? So I'm sitting there on my step to the basement, and I was listening to him, and I'm like, oh fuck, he's talking about his dad. And I guess it was something to do with the fact that my grandmother, his mother, brought him up, and he got fucking pissed.
Yeah, I don't think
I don't know what
Dad
the fuck
like Grandpa.
my grandfather did to him, but it's really affecting my side of things. So
It probably wasn't.
probably didn't help with the fact that Grandpa probably had anger issues, and so does my dad.
Oh yeah, Grandpa must have been a raging.
But the thing is, my dad's taking pills for his anger problems, and he knows how to deal with it a lot better now, since we've gotten to the point where he's trying to improve to get better. My grandfather, on the other hand, just was I don't know. I heard some good things about him, but not a lot of good things. All I know is that I remember a couple things. My mom told me a little bit about it, but she said she wouldn't go too into it. And all I remember is her talking about. I told her, I'm like, how did Dad really feel when Grandpa died? And he's like, oh, he kind of just sat there in front of his grave and drank bottles for days. And I'm like, okay, so you really cared about him, but I guess he didn't really have a good relationship with him. That's probably why. Like, he probably did, but he probably didn't. It was probably like a tough love kind of thing. And it probably didn't help that his dad's side of the family was Italian, so you know how Italians are.
They're very aggressive when it comes to
Especially
teaching
one
their
that
kids.
has really bad anger issues. You can already tell where this is going. I remember one story I asked my grandmother, and he's like, oh yeah, I remember your grandfather would get so pissed off I'd have to hide your father on top of the fridge so he wouldn't hit him. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I'm so glad he's not fucking alive.
oh my god.
Because if something were to happen, my grandfather probably would have gotten arrested for trying to hit us. Because we have autism, so.
It might be a good thing that Grandpa isn't alive.
If there was one my grandfather I wanted to meet was my Nana's husband?
Mom's dad.
Mom's dad.
Probably would have been cool to meet him.
Yeah, I heard he was a really gentle guy.
Yeah,
like, he
no,
was
fucking
very
dad's dad.
crafty,
No, not that
and so was my other grandfather. But he was really good with his hands, and he did a lot of jobs. And originally, my nana and my uncle and my mother didn't originally live in Massachusetts, believe it or not. Zalair.
Yeah.
They lived in Ohio, believe
Yes,
it or not.
I know controller.
And
I've been to Ohio once.
I've been to Ohio
I went there
twice.
And I
No, we
believe
didn't
it
went
was
there twice.
Markiplier's
No, we
hometown.
did. We
We
did
went there once.
twice in our lives.
When did we go twice?
One for a funeral and one for like to hang out with our cousins.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
We did not go to Ohio to hang out with our. That was Florida, bro.
I know we went to Ohio twice.
We passed it, but when we were going to wait. Well, I need to look up a fucking map.
No, Mom said it because we went to Ohio when we were like 5 or 2 years old. The second time was when we were like around 14 years old, where we could remember.
Well,
Yes, that's what she said.
No, it wasn't 14. We were 10 because that's when great Grammy died. Not like Dad's grandmother, but great Grams. She passed away. We had to take her body over to Ohio where her husband was buried.
Oh, yeah.
And we were 10 years old. I remember this because that's when we were still on good terms with our cousin Michaela.
We kind of are now. But,
We kind of are now because she's doing the right thing now, but...
I'm scared to see her. I haven't seen her in like
too.
3 to 4 or 5 years.
That you might want to hold me back if her boyfriend or Michaela says anything. You might want to hold me back because I don't think I'll be able to control myself if she says one bad thing about her. That's all I'm saying. But yeah. And I remember we were there. We actually traveled. This was like the whole funeral thing. I think it was about like 3 to 4 weeks travel because we were going from Massachusetts all the way to fucking Ohio. We also made a lot of stops. We went by car. We didn't go by plane. And we also did a lot of sightseeing before we went to Ohio, so. But we were on a kind of a time crunch, but we did our best to like see our sights and such. I do vaguely remember the Ohio trip, but not much. And I remember, this is funny, you'll love this, Sawyer. So we were in the park, like I think it was